Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a video by Katy Perry on a subject I thought had long since been annihilated by anti-feminists. So the video is pretty much about feminism, and why she is one. Yay! Anyway, take it away.
One time I said I wasn't a feminist because I didn't know what that word meant.
In my heart, I genuinely hoped you, once finding out what it meant, would still not say you were one, because the dictionary really doesn't line up with the actions. Let's not forget here, you are one of the few people who said that they weren't a feminist a few years ago, and were summarily bombarded with abuse and hatred by online feminists, which would lead others to believe that the reason you're saying you are one now when you do eventually say it anyway, is because of all that abuse, that negativity that no one likes. Oh, and Kaylee Cuoco called, she said that that hairstyle didn't work for her 3 years ago, so chances are it's not going to work for you now. And she's marginally more attractive.
I really didn't. And I was raised, with this idea that it was just like these angry women that were like not shaving their pits or like burning their bras.
As said earlier, the actions speak louder than words. The dictionary definition can only go so far, and you were clearly raised in a good household if people were pointing out the absolute retardation of some. It's just a shame that you've forgotten this or decided that that is no longer relevant now because somehow they're so much more developed and cultured.
And the reality is, if you look up the word feminist in a dictionary, it really just says like someone that wants equality for women. That's it.
Unless coming at this from a very global perspective, in your country, you have it. Your dictionary is very loosely written, I might add. I'm surprised you couldn't memorize the dictionary definition. The way some people read it, it almost appears as if it's tattooed on their skin.
And I never want to upset anyone's feelings. I have all good intentions, but I said, I wasn't a feminist. And then it took one of my best friends to pull me aside, and I love her so much. She said, "Sweetie, I love you, and I just want to say, this is what this word means." And I was just like, oh. Okay.
Considering how far you are into your very successful career, it is a bit of a surprise your friend did not pull you to one side sooner to stop the online harassment you were receiving at the hands of online feminists.
And you can do that with your friends. You can do that as sisters. You can do that with friendships. And that's changed my life forever, and I'll be forever grateful for it.
Just a little thing. Just because you say you are not a feminist does not mean you believe, or do not believe, in women's rights, or that women should be equal to men. The word feminism is tainted. It has been tarnished by the very actions you stated earlier, and it will take a lot of work to correct it. The only thing I see feminists doing these days is attacking other online personalities because they think that's productive, and going out of their way to character assassinate people who push for other rights in other areas to shine the light on themselves more, which does nothing but tarnish the reputation even more, or if anything, reinforce that belief that feminists are not really after equality. There are so many videos online of feminists abusing people, abusing their power and getting away with things, or not helping when they say they're after equality with things like men's rights, or when men's rights are mentioned, diminishing the value, as if somehow men are not worth as much as women because, there's still women's rights to fight for. Now back to what you said. There's nothing wrong with having friends or advice, or taking advice. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But simply saying you're a feminist because of equality seems like a redundant thing to do. It just sounds like you're pandering. It doesn't sound like you are actually a feminist. It just means, it's just a word? Of faith? A cult? Which most believe it to be. It's why so few in your country, hell, so few anywhere, are actually feminist to begin with. Its worth and value is bullshit these days. That's not to say for a second that there are not establishments that have feminists involved that aren't trying to do good in the world. It's just that seems to go unnoticed because of the crap being spewed by the ones committing stupid little acts in the name of feminism, all the while other feminists saying no one feminist truly represents all of feminism. How very Islamic. I mean feminist.
Being, sexual and sensual and, being feminist.
Right.
It's like, this is like sometimes they conflict, and it's an interesting time where we're all sort of, you know, we can have it all. Like we're allowed to have it all.
That's right.
But we're still vilified in a lot of ways for if you choose to be like, I'm going to be like this, then people will say, oh, that you've gone too far.
I would put money on those that vilify you the most as being other women. Yes, the sex negative, but also those that think some actions of some feminists is truly disgusting, especially any and all that have fallen for 4chan trolls like free bleeding, free peeing, and if it has happened yet, free pooping.
But, you know, there's a lot of these things that, you know, are not true for men, and it can be frustrating.
Dita's doing a fantastic job of operating in the vagueness, i.e. not being specific enough for me to truly understand what on earth she is talking about. So all I can say is, could you either be more specific or provide proof to what you're saying? Because men are held to high standards in other places. Women are held to standards in certain areas, culture, societies, and so are men, basically.
And
who's to tell you how you can be sexually liberated?
Right, well, it's different for everyone.
That. The whole point of feminism is so that women can do whatever they want to do.
As long as feminists aren't breaking the law of the land or abusing other people to make a point, then there's no real issue, is there? That said, the whole point of feminism is to fight for women's rights. If they have already been attained, why are you still here? The cliche argument, why are you fighting for equal rights in a country that already has them?
You know, what does like healthy sexuality look like?
Like it doesn't have STDs?
Because I wasn't raised with it. I also thought you got pregnant by just, you know, the touch of it. I really did. And like, I didn't know any of that stuff. No one taught me how to do it. And so like, when I finally figured out what that looked like, I kind of started like, I realized like sexualizing myself was like this attention grabbing thing, and I would like over sexualize myself as a young girl, and it went into my 20s and it went into my career, just like over sexualizing and not like really feeling my sexual power or knowing my sexual power, but using it as a manipulative tool.
Katy, you mentioned going into your career and over sexualizing, but it is something you're doing today. There was a song you released recently, I think it's called Bon Appetit. The lyrics of it are all sexual double entendres. It's all sexual, but you've called the song a feminist anthem. There's nothing wrong with being sex positive or empowering, but as you've done this throughout your entire career, being overly sexual, today still being overly sexual, and some may consider it to be manipulative for sales, since it is working for you 5 albums later, it seems worthless to attach a label to it, to make it seem empowering now, when you could have done this 5 albums ago.
I was thinking, it's so interesting, between now and death, from the moment ego arrives, it's at volume 100, and then it slowly works its way down, right? As you realize, oh, wow, all people have sexuality, and it goes on longer than I thought, and wow, it's not what I thought it was. Oh, and I don't have to be perfect. You know, they say that people, the happiest people are between 50 and 60, 50 and 70, I think, right? Incredible. Really? Yeah. The happiest, off the charts, because they're just like, let it go. You know, they're like sexual and happy and falling in love and like having great times. It's like off the charts, the love affairs.
Really?
I thought that was because their life was over, they've worked, they've done their time, and because they know they're nearer the grave, they figure, screw it, I'm going out with a bang. I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to enjoy what life I have left before I'm either put in a care home or I die from a cocaine overdose. Yeah. Nothing about this can be related to female empowerment and feminism, because a lot of feminists end up single and with lots of cats.